At 6 in the morning, I yelled from downstairs, "Sarah, Sarah, get down here." I came to her room and got the ironing board up when my mother-in-law called me. I struggled to process what she was doing here. She was a town nearby, as in, I was just like, well now, what the hell is she doing? My hands were shaking. But now you start to talk to her on the phone, and so that, cool. But then at some point in time, you see this girl face to face. I cried back to her, "Coming, mother." As I went down, she roamed every room of the house with a proud face on. "What kind of a mess is this? You call this a home?" she bellowed as she kicked anything that got in her way, headed for it. It's cool," I replied. "Fine. I must get out. Why should my son have to live like this? Heck, you can clean right. You're useless," she continued. Before I could answer, she chucked a dried flower from across the room, and it hit me in the face. "What even is that? Is that a flower? You cannot even water it." "Mom, I was busy with work." "I know, but is that an excuse for you not to clean the house? You only have 2 things to do: work and clean, and you cannot even do great in both. Worthless," she snarled at me. I was controlling my emotions, but I could hardly take it anymore. My tears were slowly falling when my husband came down, wearing the suit that I had ironed. "My love, it's half done," I said as I went close to him and touched his suit. It was not done yet, but he pushed me so hard that I stumbled and scratched my arms on the coffee table behind me. "I'm already late and you're moving so slowly. You're such a slacker. You don't get things done around here. Idiot," he shouted. "I'm sorry, your mother called me," I tried to explain. "Oh, and now it's my mother's fault. If you had woken up earlier, my suit could have been ironed on time. My love, you know that I did the midnight shift earlier at the store. I have to work overtime for us to pay this month's rent." David slammed the wall, and it startled me. "Enough with your excuses. That's the price you pay for dropping out of college. You don't have a decent job that can provide for us. Don't stress yourself out, son. That is no good for you. Just remember that today is going to be a big day, and soon you will get out of this hellhole," his mother said, whispering to David as she calmed him. They left me right there and then, without any words of goodbye. I heaved a deep sigh. If only you had a job, we would live a comfortable life. But here you are, a jobless, spoiled, and abusive little prick that relies on his wife for money. And if only you didn't have a tolerating and inconsiderate mother, then all of us would live happily with no toxicity, I thought to myself. These are the words that I wanted to tell him and his mother straight to their faces, but I didn't have the guts. Even now, I could feel my knees shaking. I quickly cleaned the house and left for work. While driving to the office, I remembered my husband's words earlier. I dropped out of college to marry him because he got me pregnant. He hesitated to ask for my hand initially because he wanted an easy life, friends, parties, and lots of trouble. But my mother insisted that we marry each other to save our family's reputation. With that, we got married at the early age of 21. The first few months of our relationship were beautiful as we were expecting a fantastic baby girl. But I had a miscarriage, and right then, my husband started to change. Now, 2 years into our marriage, we were not blessed with another baby anymore. Ever since, I have been the only one that worked. My husband would stay in the house, watching football games and eating his heart out. He also complained most of the time, and more frequently, he hurt me whenever I tried to wrestle with him or when I started to prove a point. I was so busy that I could only remember the worst fight we had. "What is wrong with you? Why are you hitting me?" I had asked. "You were so useless. I asked for 10 oranges and you brought me 2. Are you that dumb? You don't know how to count," David shouted. David, for the love of God, I'm not buying $15 worth of perfectly ripened oranges. You know exactly how close to the bone we live. You are 2 months overdue with rent, and you request I purchase oranges. Now, due to you thinking I'm a penny pincher, for reasons still unknown, you're mad at me. He held my hair and then dropped me to the ground. He broke whatever lay on the table next to him. You are not to defy me. I'm your husband, and you follow me, he yelled. He drop-kicked me, and I fell to the ground, writhing. My coworker then slapped me back into reality, because I honestly thought that entering the office was something to come and not already done. Hi Sarah, are you fine? You are chewing and zoning out, she said. I resisted the urge to crumple in pain and answered with an I'm all right. What happened to your arm? Did he hurt you again? I was shocked by her comment. No, I slipped on the floor and hit my arm against a table by accident. I'm okay and fine. I had to argue back at her accusations. I knew she was family with my husband. It was not the first time she had checked me on that. Sarah, honey, she said after coming up to me and grabbing my hand, your husband is beating you. You should not have to deal with this crap. You have to take action. No, Mia. He is my husband and I'm not leaving him. I never did dream of escaping, not until I was adult, and then my thoughts always went to, how will it look for the family once leave him? Maya sighed. There was nothing she could do. I refused to listen and began working hard. As night and day, I reached back home. He's going to work overtime and found out he made my mother-in-law angry, so I skipped the second job. Meal prepped dinner because, well, whatever she said hurt hubby pump butt. Then I saw my mother-in-law reading a book as she sat on our couch, and I cried. She looked composed and honestly happy. Good evening, Mom. Where's David? I asked. Oh, stop looking for David and you will not call me Mom any longer, she answered. So of course, I put her on the spot. Oh, well, what do you mean? I asked. Her response did not come right away. She whipped out something, but instead of keys or her phone, it was an unmarked white envelope. Then she poured it on me and everything spilled out onto the floor. Money. I sat there in disbelief. That's for your troubles. I looked at the money on my floor. I knelt down and began to gather back all the money into an envelope. What is all this for? She grabbed me forcefully by the chin that had startled me. It was painful. Raising my chin and obliterating her gaze with mine, she said, Take this money and leave my son alone. He is to marry a wealthy girl, the daughter of a politician, a complete opposite of a worthless person like you. Now take this money, and I'll file the divorce papers or disappear from our lives and forget that the wedding happened. I stared back at her. I'll not do that. She chuckled. Oh, really? You were dead in love with my son, huh? Well, sorry to burst your bubble. My son loathes you. You're the reason why he is trapped in your stupid, boring life. You lured him into this prison. With every word she said, she gripped harder, making it more painful every second. That is not true. You're just clouding his judgment. I did everything to provide for this family, and now I'm the bad guy. You're so funny and pathetic. Of course, you must provide because you dragged my son into this. No matter what it takes, Rick will marry that girl he met at the party. He deserves to be with the wealthiest and most influential people in town. He does not deserve a girl like you. You can go back to your lowly life at the farm and be with your loser mother. She slapped me so hard in the face that I almost lost consciousness. Before she could even get out of the house, I approached her. Don't ever talk to my mother that way. She laughed and looked at me from head to toe. Look at you. You're a complete mess, just like your mother. I remember how she begged for my son to marry you to save your reputation, but in fact, it had already been ruined by you. You were just like your mother, dumb and hopeless. I could feel my hands shaking. I was about to slap her when she caught my hand. And now you're going to hit me? You're so pathetic. I will sue you if you even try to lay a hand on me. You are the one who deserves to be sued. I will never let you get away with insulting my mother and abusing me. Oh, so you are brave now, huh? She pushed me, and I fell right onto the floor again. Be thankful because David's new wife is very generous to give you that sum of money as compensation for your troubles and as our token of gratitude for giving her your husband. Just stay away from our lives. I couldn't think straight anymore. I was angry and in so much pain. Please let me talk to David. She shut the door so loud that I started to panic. When I tried to call my husband, he would not answer. I messaged him through his every account, but he was not replying. Meantime, I found out that all the money I had saved in my bank account, he withdrew it. I bawled my eyes out when I got back and saw that remaining balance reached 0. This is so unfair. They left me with nothing. That night, I became intoxicated in alcohol. David had, after all, abused me and hated my guts, but at one stage we were happy, weren't we? By the time we lost our daughter, he was even worse. This is still the man who respected, spoke to, and touched me with love and compassion. But now, it's all gone. I texted my mom everything that happened. In the morning, she found me on my floor of my bedroom. "Sarah, OMG, what happened to you? Crucify," she said as she got me to stand up and tucked into my bed. And as I saw my aging mom take a towel with warm water to clean me, I started crying. My heart ached for her. She just wanted me to be my best self, and I only ever got in her way. I also recalled the words that my mother-in-law spoke to her, and it made me want to die even more. "Mom, I'm so sorry." "Hush now," she kept repeating over and over, in a voice cracking with each syllable. "This is not your fault. Relax, sweetheart, you're okay now. Mommy is here. I will never leave you." Her tears threatening to form as she caressed my face. I bowed my head and felt her warm caress against me. My mother is the kindest person ever, and to listen such words from somebody else makes me mad. But my mom said it in the most soothing way. She cared for me that day. She prepared as well my favorite meal and did not leave me alone till I see what crossed in my mind. "Mom, I know where they went." My mother, looking a bit confused. "What do you mean?" "I think they went to Uncle Matthew's party." I saw my mother's eyes widen. Uncle Matthew is my rich uncle. He is my maternal uncle, and I want to relate his business, which is the housing company. As fate would have it, my mother took the unplanned step of getting married to Dad, who is nothing short of a peasant, and those boots separated. "Are you sure?" "Yeah, I think some guy in the office mentioned it to me, but oh well. Same thing as before, my gut just knew." I ran to my husband's mess and located an XO in the invite. It had my name on it. It was meant for me. I showed it to my mother, and she gasped. "We have not been forgotten by your uncles, people." Then the invite opened, but had a note on it. "Sarah, my dearest niece and heir, and dearest sister, do bring Mom. I longed for her every day." I dropped to the ground down in disbelief. My mom just stood there in disbelief. "Matthew is setting you up to be his successor." The call, they even tried to keep it from me. Anna and David conspired against me. IHADAPRTYTHRTHEM. Enough of that now. Or we can take things into our own hands. Mom wasted no time contacting the number on the invite. She identified herself as Uncle Matthew's sister, and to our surprise, the transference of pure joy from her brother through Sari could be felt in every staff member over speakerphone. "Madam Susan, we have been expecting your response to us. Our envoy is over there to you as we speak." My heart almost stopped. The fact that all of this was true blew my mind. My mother was crying so hard. I wondered if Matthew had already forgotten about me. He never spoke to me again for 23 years. Your father died too, so I was hoping to be able for him, bootstrapped. Next thing I knew, a car pulled up in our driveway. Our move, and it took us to my uncle's place. Once inside, my mother sobbed as Uncle sprinted towards her with his arms wide open and hugged her so tight. Both of them were crying in one another's arms, and hen with me, he gave a hug and landed some kisses on my head. He spoke softly as he said, "I'm so sorry it took me this long to find the two of you. You were never late, Matthew. Now you stay here with me. We are family and we're supposed to be together. That day changed the course of my life and that of my mother. My uncle took us in and he provided everything we needed. I went back to school the next weekend and Mom ran his deal with him. A month went by and I settled into a comfortable life. I would find myself thinking about David from time to time. Someone knocked on my door and I finally woke the fuck up. Come in. Hello, Miss Sarah. Your mother wants me to come and give you a cup of coffee. One of my uncle's maids finally came with some gauze and a small first aid kit toward the end. Thank you, Claire, I smiled. She edged a bit closer to me, and then before she left completely looked back at my laptop like it had more business with her. Forgive my asking, Miss Sarah, do you happen to have a husband? At this, I laughed a little. Yes, I had, but he left me in the gentlest manner. I see. We are so delicate with our hearts, men, for God's sake, see how much they hurt us. But you are also looking familiar to me, madam. I think I saw you somewhere. Maybe. I have a couple jobs that I do. Maybe you've seen me doing one of them. She noted and smiled at me. I shall leave then. I must be bothering you, Miss Sarah. Thank you. I smiled back at her. After she was out, I get a text message from the person I hate most, her mother-in-law. David is filing the divorce papers now. We'll even do appeal with the money for you to hire a lawyer, really. It will be paid for by his latest wife. Be grateful and do your job. And do us a favor. My heart was pierced. I breathed in deeply and thought of all the silver linings that followed once David was out of my life. Maybe it was meant to happen. I cock-blocked and stopped responding to her texts. Dinner came, and I could sense my uncle's uneasiness. Is there something wrong, Matthew? The company lost funds today from an unknown user. Someone must have gone inside our account and stolen the money. Good thing I already have it covered, and experts are starting to track down the culprit. A glass fell to the floor and broke. I saw Claire swiftly pick up the shards. I'm so sorry. I'll clean this immediately. I could sense the nervousness in her voice. I felt bad for her. The next day, I received another message from my mother-in-law. Stupid girl, meet us at Pitt's restaurant. You're going to sign these papers now. If you don't show yourself, I will do everything to ruin your life. I had no choice but to meet them. As I was about to leave, I remembered Claire. I pitied her last night, and I wanted to give her something, some cash so that she could give herself a break. I looked for her, but the other maid said she went out for lunch with friends. Maybe I'll treat her tomorrow then, I whispered to myself. With that, I headed to the restaurant. The moment I saw my mother-in-law, and even just my husband's back profile, I was already shaking. Also, a familiar silhouette of a girl caught my attention. She was sitting next to David. I went closer to them, and I was in complete shock when I saw the girl's face. I stared at her. And you're finally here. Being late is also one of your worthless traits, isn't it? You have no manners, and you kept us all waiting, especially Madame Claire. You have no shame. We're doing you a favor here. We are making your life easier. You have a huge sum of money now, so sit down and sign the damn papers, or I'll sue. It's you. I interrupted my mother-in-law's speech. I gave Claire a blank stare, ignoring my mother-in-law and husband. How dare you interrupt me? You're the one who steals our company's money, and for the record, you're the one who stole my husband. I could not control my temper anymore, and I shouted at her. My mother-in-law got up and slapped me in the face. You lost your mind. How dare you yell at Madame Claire and disrespect her? And what company are you talking about? You're talking nonsense, you poor brat. I slammed the table and got up. The next time you lay a hand on me, you'll be in jail. The girl right here is my uncle's maid, and she stole his money so that she could pose as a rich young girl, when in fact she's actually serving me. I'm the heir of my uncle's company, and now I can even buy this restaurant right here and then. You're the one who is disrespecting me. The three of them stared at me in shock. I will turn the three of you into the police. I have both evidence. You slapped me in the face, and all of these people here are witnesses. It will fortify your abuses toward me. And you, Claire, you have already confessed, and you will be convicted as a thief." My mother-in-law fell to her knees and begged for mercy. My husband came to me and tried to hold my hands, but I shrugged him off. "The two of you treated me like I was so low, like I was nothing but a dumb and worthless girl. Now it's time for both of you to learn your lessons the hard way." Claire also cried her eyes out until the authorities came and arrested the three of them. My mother and uncle came inside the restaurant and rushed toward me. "My uncle will take over the legal actions. He assured us that justice will be served for all the mistreatments they gave us." And on that day, my mother-in-law, husband, and maid cried for mercy, but it was silenced by the loudness of their mistakes.